Peace. Infinite waters diving deep once again. How to stop overthinking constantly and actually find your inner peace. We are out here in nature, baby. Woo! Breathing in that good ass prana. I get over 1,000 questions every single day. And a lot of them have to do with overthinking. So neuroscience says we have over 70,000 thoughts a day, right? Between 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts every single day. What are you thinking of? That's a lot of thoughts. Someone wrote to me saying that they have an overthinking problem and they don't know what to call it. So you are basically, wait a minute, an overthinkaholic. We ain't even had breakfast yet. Can I get a hello? I got a problem and I don't know what to call it. I'm an overthinkaholic, right? Forget about alcoholic. No, overthinkaholic. Like a lot of people on the planet are overthinkaholics. As a psychologist, as a criminologist, but more so as an infinite being who loves the cat down the road, let me share with you what helped me along my journey. I went to university at 17 years old. So I've been studying psychology for a long time, and how our subconscious mind works for a long time. So I know a lot about overthinking because guess what? I am also, wait for it, an thinker, olic. Yeah, that's right, overthinkaholic. Overthinking is not your problem. Overthinking is a symptom from high levels of anxiety. Slow motion this side. You can't sit still. I found out this, that our identity is what creates overthinking. Go back to your old photo album when you were really small, see what you were doing. Then tap into that mind state you were in if you can do it. You'll notice that you probably weren't thinking about a whole lot. You're probably just smiling in that picture or playing around, or maybe you didn't have such a great childhood, right? But the younger we are, we tend to think a lot less. As we begin to create this identity, I'm from this country, I'm this race, we have a lot to defend. Overthinking is the ego's defense mechanism. When you're really young, the ego hasn't had enough time to be fully formed yet. You're still really in your heart space, right? But as your ego grows even larger, you're like, I am this person. You better put some respect on my name. Very defensive, so you're always overthinking. The secret to stop overthinking is to let go of who you think you are. So let me go over some steps, maybe 11 or so, that really helped me to stop overthinking constantly, right? And to actually find my inner peace. Stanford studies have shown, and even Harvard studies, that overthinking kills your productivity. What's even worse, it prevents your creative growth, right? There's a psychologist called Barry Schwartz who talks of the paradox of choice. If you have a lot of choices, you're screwed. Too many choices is a bad thing. A little bit of choice, good. When you have too much choice in your life, you tend to overthink a lot, okay? So let's start with this. Have you heard of a dream journal? Yes, Ralph. Okay. There is something what I have called a think journal. And I started writing in a think journal, right? Have you seen Amelie, that film where she's thinking about what all of these random people are doing at any given second, right? Some people are taking a dump right now. Some people are making love. Some people are going to school. Some people are driving around the city. Yeah, start making a note of all your random thoughts, right? That you have. Then ask yourself, are these thoughts serving me? Or are these thoughts giving me more problems? You see, have you ever noticed that we don't tend to overthink a lot about love and happiness and how beautiful the world is? Because when we do, it's never a problem. Overthinking only becomes a problem when we are in resistance to our thoughts. Slow motion this side. Let me repeat that. Overthinking only becomes a problem when we are in resistance to our thoughts. When you are trying to push thoughts away, you got an overthinking problem. You are an overthinkaholic, because guess what? Resistance makes stronger. So, by having this think journal, I started to really see my thoughts and what I was thinking by writing them down. Then I would realize that I was thinking about things and I was literally in repeat mode. I would just think about things. Along my early journey, I would always overthink that, like, would I even become anything in this life, right? I had a lot of negative thinking. If you realize the power of thoughts, you would never think a negative thought again. Right? Dr. Bruce Lipton, we got a whole show on Infinite Waters. He came on. He talks a lot about epigenetics, how the next step right now, our perception can alter our DNA, right? The honeymoon effect. When couples go on a honeymoon, they are so happy all the time, right? But what happens when it's finished? Overthinking starts, right? A lot of us, we have a perception deception problem on the planet, right? We don't realize whatever you focus on grows. We don't realize that perception can alter our DNA. Many of us don't realize that our perception is actually responsible for our overthinking, how we perceive other people, but more so how we perceive ourselves, and more so how we perceive our thoughts. You see, there's a great story of two Zen disciples, monks, right? And they're not supposed to look at women. Why? I have no idea, right? So they both pass very, very beautiful woman. And now they've moved on. And the first Zen monk has no problem. He's like, oh, that's fine, no problem. And then the other monk is like, I can't stop thinking about this woman. And the first monk is like, I left her there. You're still carrying her in your mind. Slow motion this side. In a nutshell, we carry thoughts all the time. Our perception. For the first monk, It was no problem to see a beautiful woman. For the second monk, he was in so much resistance that he couldn't help it, because he was carrying this baggage with him. Are you carrying unnecessary baggage in your life? Ralph, I got bills to pay, right? When the future looks uncertain, a lot of us turn to overthinking. Guess what? You can't control the future. Oh, but I can, Ralph. Try it out. Perspective, the next step, right? The higher you go, if you've ever been skydiving, have you done that? As you do, right? Yeah, you start to see how small we are as human beings. Ever been on a cruise? You start to realize, like, gosh, we are like tiny little dots on this planet. Like the great Carl Sagan talked of, the pale blue dot. That's what we are in this solar system. Just a pale blue dot, right? But you need a perspective to stop overthinking constantly. I got a sense of humor, right? But at the same time, I often overthink a lot. And I realize it's because I'm not getting enough perspective. I'm not getting the bird's eye view. I'm not seeing the bigger picture, right? A lot of us, we got a roof over our head. You had breakfast today? We ain't even had breakfast, actually. No, we haven't. But you're about to, right? You got a lot to be thankful for. The more perspective you get, the less of an overthinking problem you will have. 7-day vegan challenge. A lot of us eating artificial foods, drinking artificial drinks, high caffeine, sodas, right? Stimulants don't do well for overthinkers, right? Magnesium does, though. A lot of people who are chronic overthinkers have a magnesium deficiency. Magnesium, you get that from the leafy greens, right? And this will help alleviate your anxiety, which will help you stop having so many thoughts flood your mind, right? Many of us don't realize that we are what we eat. Every 35 days, our body makes new cells from the foods we eat. So you got to ask yourself, am I eating fear? Tortured, butchered animals who didn't want to die? Or am I eating foods which were sun-kissed? This is what I had to ask myself, and I noticed a massive difference. Soon as I started to eat a plant-based diet, I stopped overthinking so much, because like the cows were like mooing inside of my stomach. Number 4, we're not even counting. That's too much thinking. Next step. I surround myself with people who think a lot less, right? I don't want to be around a lot of nervous people, because now you're making me nervous. And a lot of us, we do that. Okay? A lot of us, we're in work, which everyone is talking about this and that. And that's why you're overthinking. Because you are surrounding yourself with people who have a lot of anxiety about the future. You want to surround yourself with people who are doing like this, right? So tuned in to the here and now. And that's why many times I'm a skater, been skating since I was 13 years old. Like, skateboarders are probably the most chilled out people to hang around. If you've got an overthinking problem, head to a skate park right now, because you'll just feel so mellow. Right? And that's why whenever I'm overthinking, I used to skate a lot. I still do, not as much, but it just disappears because I'm surrounding myself with people who think a lot less because they're so involved in what they're doing, in the action, in the radical action, right? What's the next step? Become present, occupy the present. Now, we've heard that so many times that we're like, sounds a bit cliche, Ralph. That's why. Sometimes we're so big for our boots. We think we know it all, and that's why we're overthinking. Analysis is paralysis. You're overthinking because you think you know it all, right? But you get caught up in the past. You get caught up in the future. So you've seen this meme that intelligent people often have a hard time falling asleep due to increased levels of brain activity. Right? Now, is that true or not? It may be in some cases, but also there's something called EQ, which is emotional intelligence. And once you start to meditate a lot more, you find that you start to overthink a lot less and you start to fall asleep a lot faster, right? So it can work both ways. Occupying the present is about realizing everything is happening in divine order. There are no accidents or coincidences in the universe. There is only divine order, right? I've counseled multi-millionaires, right? They still got problems. Occupying the present is about realizing you have everything you need. In this society, we have been sold the illusion that we have to get something to become something. Observe children. They have everything they need until we tell them, look, if you don't get an A, no more cookies, no more vegan cookies. So they start having this anxiety from a young age. It now becomes a program. So I started to realize that I have so much, right? I'm more than a billionaire or a trillionaire. I am priceless. So this helped me, this mindset, because it's all a mindset, helped me move into the present moment, right? And the more you can start to become sensitive, slow down, instead of speeding up, because right now we're living in a world of instant gratification, where we think the faster we get things done, the better it is. But you see, the faster you do things, you miss the attention to detail, which is the secret for stopping overthinking. Fast is slow. Slow is really fast. How many times has this happened to you? Right? You're rushing so much that you lose your keys. And now you got to overthink a lot because you're like, where did I put them? You check in the washing machine. You check under the iron and it's not there. You check in the most random places. It's not there. You got an overthinking problem. Because your fast now became something that slowed you down. If you took time in the beginning to slow down, that would have speeded you up in the long run. Slow motion this side. So occupying the present for me, that's what I'm striving to do every single day, to say, hey, let it go. Let it go. Just let it go. Let it go. What's the next step is what I call total body awareness. Now, I teach this, I counsel people on this, inspire millions of people on this. And that is probably the greatest secret to stop overthinking. A lot of us, we are out of touch of who we are. We're not even in touch with our bodies. Because many of us, as soon as we wake up, we jump on the computer, right? We are stepping by 2045 into something called singularity, where computers are going to actually exceed the intelligence. They're actually, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Yeah, they're actually going to exceed the intelligence of human beings if we're not careful, right? We're already in transhumanism, where we are merging with the machine. Soon it's going to be post-humanism, right? Where it's already happened. And then singularity, where the machines are going to give us a run for our money. Look, you go into the supermarket, you go into the mall, and machines are literally replacing people. Oh my gosh. Total body awareness is where you start stepping into the action, right? Yoga, skating, walking, weightlifting, whatever works for you. Start tapping into your senses. The great psychologist Fritz Perls, right? Lose your mind and come to your senses. Like, I had to write that down, right? When I was 17 years old in the psychology lecture room. Lose your mind and come to your senses. And the more I started to practice that, the more my anxiety disappeared. Therefore, I began to overthink a lot less. Become aware of what you are doing with your body. Become aware of your breath at every given second. Become aware of your senses, right? The next step is to realize that we really, really don't control anything like we think we do. Like we think, I control this. See, overthinking comes from the desire to maintain an identity. This is where all our stress actually comes from. Oh, I hope people like me. What would happen if they don't? I hope I get more likes. It's all because we are trying to control a persona, a mask, which is not who we are anyway. So I started to realize, look, I don't control anything. We don't even control who we're going to have children with. We think we do until you start talking to people and they're like, I would have never imagined I would have met him, or I would have never imagined I would have met her. We now have like 8 children and we have a vegan farm. Like, you can't plan these things. It's what I call divine order. You got to allow the flow, the ebb and the flow of life, and realize that the more you allow, the more you move into the present moment, right? Many of us, we don't want to let go. We don't want to let go of control. That's why we are overthinking constantly, right? So we really don't control anything, to be honest, except our perception of ourselves. Next step, practice mindfulness meditation. I'm telling myself this right now because there is meditation and then there is mindfulness meditation, right? So you've seen the meme, the guy and the dog, and the guy's thinking of so many things. His mind is cluttered, right? And the dog is just seeing the tree right in front of him. Like, what I see is what I'm seeing, right? A lot of us, we're caught back in time, right? We're somewhere else. And the secret is to be in the here and now 100%, right? So realize at all times you have to be tuned in to what you are seeing, right? Not what happened 20 years ago, which I know sometimes we want to reflect back, right? So the next step is to set time to have reflection time, where I say allow yourself to overthink, continue to overthink, right? Now, a lot of people don't teach this because they don't know the secrets, right? Allow yourself to overthink, right? Set time to say 1 hour, I'm going to overthink until I get bored of it, till I realize it's not doing anything for me, because overthinking won't change your problems, right? Overthinking won't change your problems. Only actions will. Slow motion this side. Right? The next step, what's helped me along my journey, is to surrender, right? Surrender. All the time, make sure you can surrender. Many times we don't want to surrender, and the ego never wants to let go. Once again, the ego is the primary cause of many of our thoughts in excess, right? Because the ego is a control freak. It's sad to say, but the fact still remains. It's like that. So the more you move more into your heart space, which can only happen when you say, I'm just going to do me. I'm tired of trying to win people over. I am enough, and what I have to offer the world is surely enough, and I'm not going to be so hard on myself. And what anybody thinks of me is their business, it's not mine. Oh yes. And let's talk about another final step, which is to accept yourself 100%. Do you like the way your body looks today? That's a question from me to you. There was a time when I wasn't 100% satisfied with my body, and that's okay, but I was overthinking a lot. And then I realized this secret. Do you know, the more paranoid I became about my body, I gotta go to the gym, I gotta have a six-pack, the more miserable I was. The more I actually accepted who I was and then took step by step, I actually learned how to free myself from all of this pressure, which was overwhelming me, which was causing the overthinking in the first place. So I always say, learn to take the pressure off. And that can only happen when you stop comparing yourself to other people, where you say you are where you are and that's good enough for you, and they are where they are and that's good enough for them. This thing can change at any time. Nothing is permanent, right? Many times we are overthinking because we aren't happy with who we are. So coming to love yourself 100%, coming to accept yourself 100%, being in a league of your own is the secret to stop overthinking. When you have no competition, which can only happen when you learn how to own your weirdness, then you start cooperating with people, you will stop overthinking, right? None of us are in control of when we're going to be out of here. I've met people who have everything and then they lose it the next minute. This is divine order, which we have to all realize we aren't in control. When you realize this, you will stop overthinking, because even if you try to think of it, it doesn't change what actually just happened. Instead of thinking about what isn't working in your life, oh, my life is so terrible right now. Instead of thinking what could go wrong on doomsday paranoia, why not begin thinking of what could actually go right? Pronoia, when you realize and have this belief and this mindset that the whole universe is working on your behalf, and then just say, feels so good to be alive, baby. Can I get a hello? Realize it's not your thoughts that are the problem. It's about whether or not they are serving you. Have a beautiful day. We're here. Infinite Waters. Diving deep once again. Stay well. Stay healthy. Peace. You.